Good morning. This morning I want to read to you a story called The Man Who Drew on the Ground. It's written by Joel McCarroll. The girl stares at the ground, too afraid to raise her eyes, too broken, too violated, too ashamed to even try. Her tears, a bitter river, stream down her face as she is thrown violently on the ground. Wrapped in a sheet that barely covers her body, she feels like a nobody. So many thoughts race around her head, so many regrets. So many eyes strip her of any sense of dignity she may have had. Naked in so many ways, her very soul buckles under the weight of her humiliation. Someone so starved of love, so starved of affection. All I wanted was someone to notice, she thinks to herself. All I wanted was to feel like I was someone, like I was beautiful to someone, like I actually was worth having around. What else could I do? I know it was wrong, but what else could I do? Her captors drag her through the crowd that is gathered. All attention is focused on this whimpering mess of a woman as she is thrown down in front of the men she's thrown down in front of the man they have just heard speaking. The men who force her to stand to her feet. They say something to the man, something that chills her to the core, making her weep violently as she struggles to hide from the stares of so many accusers. The penalty for a crime? The death sentence. The sound of silence fills the air as the crowd waits to see the response of the man. They've all heard how sinful she has been, and they all know the punishment this calls for. They stare down at the crushed, humiliated woman, their stares pushing her further and further into the loneliness and rejection that is wrapped around her. Then the man before her does something quite unexpected. Slowly he stoops to the ground and begins to write with his finger. The bare stones of the temple's ground make it hard to see what he's writing, but still people crane their necks in an attempt to catch a glimpse. And the woman, in her dejected state, finally looks up and realizes that all attention has been taken off her and humiliation, drawn away by the man as he writes on the ground. He looks up and then from his drawing and puts a challenge out to her condemning captors. If any of you is without sin, let him be the first to throw a stone at her. He stoops down again and continues to draw on the ground. Each of her condemners sulk off into the background, tails between their legs. This man, this picture of love personifies, continues to take the attention onto himself. He goes on drawing on the ground till all the people have walked away, until no condemnation is left for her. The woman whose moments before knew she was going to die, a worthless piece of nothing, now looks into the eyes of the man who has just saved her life. She sees the most intense love and compassion flowing out of them for her. She can't believe that someone would stand up for her like that someone actually cared enough, that someone would not condemn her for her wasted life and actions. She begins to think that maybe, just maybe, this man sees something in her that she's never seen in herself. If he could go to all this trouble, then perhaps she is worth something. Perhaps there is something beautiful about her after all. And from this moment, when this one man cares enough to take away the humiliation and condemnation that threatened to take her life, when he cares enough to take the attention of the people away from her brokenness and shame, when he chooses not to condemn her, but to show her true love and grace, at this very moment, when he looks up from drawing on the ground, she finally knows the love she's been searching for all her life. Well, you probably recognize that story from the Bible. A beautiful story. But it speaks into us as well. Where are those who condemn us? Jesus doesn't come to condemn. He comes to set people free. So experience the freedom of Jesus this day as you recount this story of the woman who was found in adultery and was going to be stoned to death, but discovered the grace of God. God bless you.